What's going on, guys? Before we get into this video on NBA's opening nights and doing this recap, I'd appreciate it if you guys could let me know in the comments, do you want to see this quick, less edited, more improv style video? If you do, awesome. With these videos, I'm going to be leaving a letter grade for each team after we talk about them, and I encourage you to go in the comments and give your own grades / ratings to these teams or what you thought about the teams as you were watching the game. Without further ado, let's get started. We'll be discussing both of these games that happened last night on opening night, but first let's talk about this 76ers versus Celtics game. Going into this one, I was actually more hyped than the Lakers game. If you guys watched my first video I ever posted on this channel, you'd be aware I'm not the highest on the Lakers in their current roster buildup, and I think that their roster could be built up a lot differently, but we're talking about the Celtics and 76ers right now. The Celtics pose victorious as the 76ers lose 126 to 117, and here's what I feel like needs to be said. For starters, on the 76ers side of the ball, James Harden looked like James Harden, and it was really fun to watch. He was sure more passive on some looks compared to his old game, and you can tell that he's still somewhat in that pass-first headspace, kind of being passive generally, but that still didn't stop him from dropping 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 12 for 12 from the charity stripe. Realistically, he should have had 13 or so, even more assists, and this is where my first gripe is with the 76ers. I understand it's the first night, and that some people may have dead legs or just first game nerves, but in all seriousness, I felt like I was watching the 2018 Rockets choke in the playoffs all over again, the way that Harden was setting up his previous and new teammates like Daniel House Jr. or even PJ Tucker for 3, just for them to miss terribly. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about when I say wide open looks here. The 76ers, they just left way too much on the court this last game, and not in a good way. I just felt like every single open look they had from past 17 feet was a miss. They found spurts of rhythm, but ultimately could never get anything going outside of that 9-0 run they had early in the second quarter. This doesn't really concern me as much as the thought of Doc Rivers still being the 76ers head coach for the foreseeable future. I don't want the playoffs to come and see every player finally step up just for us to use Doc as the scapegoat. We already know he's not cut for this when the playoffs come around, yet we still are seemingly just deciding to stop addressing this issue after the season began, and I don't blame people. There's obviously more to talk about, but people are more focused on things like his Twitter likes than his capability to lead and keep a team kept in games like this and moments like this where it's stressed and the points keep going from down 8 to down 10 to down 12. Like, you need someone who's going to rally you and make you just want to fight for them and win. And honestly, the bench looked like they didn't even want to see any production with a 10-foot pole as they combined for 11 points with 5 players. With Al Horford getting 2 early fouls in that first quarter and Noah Vonleh pretty much guarding Joel Embiid the entire night, I don't see how this was a loss. Truthfully, kind of unacceptable. And as for the Celtics, way to come in on opening night in the Garden with the youngest coach in the NBA and get him a win. Joe is probably super happy right now with the way that Tatum and Brown played. They both looked really good on both sides of the ball, especially early. The defense, they were really getting out there and making an effort and making it really hard on the 76ers. And Malcolm Brogdon, he made his debut for the Celtics. If you guys watched some of my older videos, you know that I was very high on this move. And honestly, it went decent, but like I said, I was very high on this, so I pictured it going a lot better. 2 things need to be said. 1, he did come off the bench, which I did not expect. Even Derek White started over him. And 2, I think he may be injured towards his shoulder or nervous or one of the two, because his first jump shot that he took, it just looked awkward and sideways, and the ball ended up hitting the side of the backboard. But then on the next possessions, he proceeded to get ripped or lose the ball even, and this happened on 1 or 2 possessions in a row. But then after that, I just figured, okay, maybe he's not 100%, but a few plays later, it seems like he's moving fine in transition and knocking down shots and making the capable passes I know he can, so that's fine. Although every possession Marcus Smart touched the ball, I was still finding myself asking him to pass it out because I just don't like when he's controlling the Celtics offense, and I don't really know what that means about him and his future and what he brings to this team offensively, but at least he's still disrupting people on defense and trying to play with that energy. I'd give the 76ers Sixers a B- for this game. I know they lost, but they lost on missed opportunity, and I'm glad they were able to create opportunity and that Harden was actually taking and making threes and getting fouled on them. I think this is a good building block for the Sixers. For the Celtics, they get an A. Again, way to come out and win on opening night with a new interim head coach, and that's got to be an amazing feeling. Now for the Lakers and the Warriors. I'm going to keep this side extra short because there's not really much I feel like I want to say or much that needs to be said at all. As for the Lakers, Bron, if we're down 30, why are you talking to Dre on the opposing's bench laughing mid-game while your team is on the other half of the court trying to make a comeback? This team shot 10 for 40 from 3 last night. I said it in my first video that shooting would be an issue going into this Lakers squad for this year, but 25%, that's just so bad. It's not even excusable. Bron looked decent, and so did Anthony Davis, but Lonnie Walker, Pat Bev, and Juan Toscano-Anderson all looked like they've never played in this system, which they haven't really, but man, I did not think it would be this bad. They couldn't get any shots to fall, and it seemed like they were just desperately trying to claw their way back into this game with three-pointers rather than getting systematic buckets. And that's probably what you need to be doing against a team like the Warriors. You can't outshoot the best shooters in the world. And as for the Warriors side of the ball, they just continued to play that Warriors basketball, moving it in transition, letting it fly, and getting a W on the same night as their ring ceremony. The chemistry didn't even feel forced or anything, even after that practice incident we heard about previously in this week featuring Draymond and Poole. That's just the professional nature of this team, and it's showing itself off as beautifully as ever right now. They all know whether they're close or not, or hate each other or not, or whatever. After this year, when Draymond's contract is potentially up, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that right now in 2023, they're all competing to win that NBA championship, and that's truthfully what separates a team like Golden State from the other 29 organizations in this league. For the Lakers, I give their loss a C-. Opening night, they hyped it up very much just to come out with that lackluster, terrible shooting performance. No one was moving in defense. And the Warriors, I will give them an A, just like the Celtics. Congrats on the rings, champs. Now, where would you rank the Lakers? Where would you rank the Warriors? Where would you rank the Celtics? And where would you like the Sixers? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please let me know by leaving a like and subscribing if you're new. As always, have a great day. Peace.